Hey everybody, and welcome to video 2. In this video, we will be creating our first database and our first table. Now, to make things easier, I've provided a script to create our first table. It also has data with it. So we don't really have to learn about creating the table just yet because we're following the data analyst path first before we get into the architecture and modeling roles. So I hope you enjoy, and I will see you soon. Alrighty, so before we actually create our first database and our first table, I want to go ahead and try to explain what a database and table are, or what a database is and what tables are, in a non-technical sense. So here's an example I have. I have a folder called LearnSQL, just meant to store information for this series. Now inside of this, inside of this folder, I have another folder called This is a Database. So you kind of want to think of a database as a folder. And inside the database folder, we have files. Now these files are just spreadsheets. Imagine being in a company that doesn't have any sort of database management system. They don't have SQL, they don't have anything. This is probably what you would run into. A lot of files being, that's where their data is. Their data exists in files. So imagine even if it's your company, if someone may have asked you or you're looking for information on the top 10 people with the most orders in 2019, or maybe even more specific, in Q1 of 2019. You would have to open your file that contained your order information and sift through it. It might not have all the information you need, so you may have to find another file that has, people information. And hope that you don't have thousands and thousands of people, right? Because what you're doing, all this manual stuff of looking through different spreadsheets and trying to put this information together, all of that can be done in a fraction of the amount of time using SQL. So that is kind of what a database and what a table is a database is more or less a folder, and a table is more or less a spreadsheet. So let's go ahead and create our first database. Now all we have to do is right-click on the databases folder and then hit New Database. All of these options, we're not going to worry about it until much later because we're focusing on that entry-level data analyst position. So let's go ahead and just name this database LearnSQL and then hit OK. So now you should see LearnSQL pop up in your Object Explorer with the database icon next to it, which is just a cylinder. Now let's go ahead and hit the plus button or expand the database. Now we'll see more folders. Like I said, just imagine a database is a folder. But more importantly, we have a tables folder. So we can expand that and see that it keeps going. Now I could have you right click on tables, hit new and do new table, but in the description there is a file that you can download that will create a table for you and fill it with data, because I want to give you a lot of data so we can start learning about select statements and we'll be on the same page. So after you download that file, go ahead up to the top and click on the Open File. Find out where it's located, and in this case, it should be named TBL Person with Data, and double click on it. Now you can read through this, but honestly, all we have to do is run it. All we have to do is execute it. This will delete the table if there's a table named TBL Person, create it and fill it with randomly generated data that, we're all going to be on the same page. I randomly generated the data and now I put it in this file. So all we have to do is click anywhere. And if you didn't name your database LearnSQL, you will have to change this name, but we can click anywhere, make sure we don't have anything highlighted, come up here to execute, our play button, and hit it. This basically says whatever words are on the screen in our little notepad type thing, try to make sense of it, SQL, and try to do what it's telling you to do. In this case, we should have one row affected and about 100 of them. So we should see, like, the LearnSQL, we should see a table that shows up here, and it does not. So just like if our database didn't show up, we want to click on the parent folder. So we're going to click on tables and then come up here and hit refresh, and we should see DBO TBL person. Now let's see how similar the table is to a spreadsheet. So I can go ahead and right click on this, and the first thing I want to do is hit edit top 20,000. Now if yours says edit top 200, you may have skipped the previous video. If you're looking to change it in the previous video, that's where we changed these settings so we can see more of the data. But just go ahead and click that. So now we have, and let me bring up that other spreadsheet of people. We have something that looks very similar to a spreadsheet application. Instead of the first row being the name of the column, we have A, B, C, D, E, and F up here, but it's actually the name of the column up here. Oops, I apologize. It's the name of the column up here. But the data is the same, just show you the format and everything. And we have a lot of the same functionality, but it's a little different. So I'm going to go into the spreadsheet application. Most spreadsheet applications, if I'm in a specific cell, a specific column and row intersection, if I type something, I can hit escape and it will undo that. If I type something and I lose focus, or I go, somewhere else, different record, whatever, if I hit escape, nothing happens. I have to hit Control Z to undo it. Now SQL operates a little differently. So this we can edit by hand. In the very beginning, we want to do this instead of script because we don't know how to script yet. So that's soon to come. But by hand, we can make a change. And if we do not want to, commit, save that change, we can hit escape and it'll undo it. However, we can also, if we move to another column in the same row, you will notice that we get these red circles with white exclamation points in it. This is telling us that it has not saved yet, so we can hit escape to return the entire row back to normal. Because when we think of databases, or just the database management systems in general, these systems are being used as you're editing them. They're being used by a website, for like a pizza website, or an ordering, like the e-commerce website. So if it were to change one at a time, there's a possibility that that could be broken until you're finished. So in this area, it lets you do one row at a time. But after you make those changes, to commit them, it's the same as Excel. You just have to lose focus, but you have to lose focus of the row. And if you come back, hit escape or Control Z, nothing happens. So that is basically just what I wanted to go over today. We created our first database. We created our first table. If we close this and run this script again, just click anywhere and hit execute, it will delete this table and re-add all the original data back into it. We will be doing this kind of setup in the beginning of the next video, and from then on, because then I'll start handing out, homework, some things to do after the video, because we're going to start learning how to code now, how to select from this data instead of, manually selecting this data. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, please leave a comment. If you need help or want to learn more, definitely ask, because I don't want you to get frustrated and give up this amazing opportunity to switch careers. So you guys have a good one, and I will see you next time.